Welcome to Inspirational Enthusiasm. My name is Lori Petty, and today we have a special treat for you. First of all, the topics that we're going to cover is destigmatizing spirituality, what spirituality is thought to be versus what it really is, and then some tools to help you throughout what we like to call the awakening process, and as you begin to learn more about your journey, how to help you through it. So today I have a special guest, and her name is Leilani Bush. She is a medium, a psychic medium, and a lot of other things. One of my very good friends, funny as heck. We're going to have a lot of fun today. And so what we're going to do is, I guess first of all, Leilani and I met back in 2019, and it was at an event called Shift Charlotte. And she was reading, I was volunteering. I was really early into my spiritual awakening, so I was just trying to find my tribe and just being around people. I wasn't ready yet to practice my modalities. And we ran into each other. And later on that year, we ran into each other at another event called Enlighten Up. And I was doing Reiki, she was doing Reiki, and I was a nervous frickin' wreck, and she was really helping me keep it together and encouraging. And so she has helped me so much on my spiritual journey, because like I've said in previous videos, it started in 2018, and luckily I ran into some people like Leilani that really kind of took a hold of me and helped drag me along, kicking and screaming sometimes. So today, welcome, Leilani.
Well, aloha everybody. Peace and blessings, and thank you so much for having me here. I completely echo your thoughts. There's so many times we get into these really deep conversations and about what the awakening process is, how it happened for us, and what we thought it was versus what it turned out to be. Amen. Yeah. And are we sure that we took the right pill? But it is truly worth it, because really the journey of spirituality or spiritual awakening is the journey of you. It's the healing journey of yourself.
Absolutely.
And there's no better relationship, no more powerful relationship to have than the relationship with yourself first.
Right.
So you know how to show up for everybody else.
Absolutely. Now let's talk a little bit about what you do.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people don't know, and there's a lot of misconceptions about what mediums do and mediumship. Yes. So give us a little bit of insight.
Absolutely. So I am a psychic medium, and mediumship I love to call spirit communication.
Okay.
Everybody is psychic: dogs, animals, plants, trees, animals. Humans call it intuition. I say they're psychic, and it's the ability to read energy and know how to move.
Yeah.
And with mediumship or spirit communication, it's about connecting. It's about sending your energy into creation, to connect with all the beautiful beings that exist there. Mm-hmm. Everything that ever was, that exists, and will be is all in this beautiful ball.
And we're all connected.
And we are all one.
Yep.
We're all one. And it's a heavenly space to transverse and journey to. And really, as a medium, a traditional, professionally trained medium, what you can expect is to go into a session, and that medium will bring forth pieces of information which is verifiable by the client.
Right.
And that the reason for that is so that we have alignment, that the person you're thinking of and the person I'm bringing through is that person. Okay. So truly, all a sitter ever has to do is say, I give you, this is your Auntie Jane, and you either say yes, no, or maybe so, keep going. Mm-hmm. And that's all you really have to do. Now, what I find the most beautiful part about mediumship is, getting the facts and the figures are right. Yes, she did this in her life, and yes, she had that type of personality, and yes, I knew her like that. But the most important thing is why they are here now. Okay, so thank you for the facts and figures. But what do you need to share with me? What do I need to know? What do I need to understand to help me navigate this chapter of my life?
Right.
And that is, to me, the most important part about mediumship. And yes, you can receive healing messages. And yes, it is an opportunity to have closure or learn more about yourself or learn how they're moving in your life.
Right.
So it's a beautiful healing experience. I'd also like to share, as we are in the spirit of destigmatization, amen, that no, you will not get attacked by a spirit while you are in a session, at least in none of my sessions, okay? Because I only work in the light.
Right.
I only work in the light. And so I'm creating a heavenly bubble of love for this communication and fellowship to take place. So that's how mediumship can work. Reiki practitioners like yourself are also mediums.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. When I'm doing readings, any kind of Reiki or I'm doing tarot readings, I'll have people come through. Now, I don't always know who they are, but I'll get messages.
That's right.
And it's funny, I don't know how often you get this, but the question I get the most is, are they okay?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
absolutely.
yeah, they're okay. You're the one that needs some help.
Come into the room with, I'm okay, are you?
But it fascinates me how much people, they're so worried about the ones that have passed. And it's and once they get that message, you see something change about them, right?
Yes.
It's like, oh, I feel better now because it was them that was having the issue.
Oh my gosh.
Especially if it was quick, if it was unseen, or if it was a really tough illness.
That's
Yeah, they
right.
want to know that they're better now.
It's that beautiful moment of closure.
Right.
Or new beginnings.
Yes.
I mean, death is just the beginning, right?
Absolutely.
Death and life are the continuum. And that energy you were speaking of, it's like you feel a lightness come over someone. Like as soon as they hear it and it's sunken, then it's a giant exhale and all this stuff removes, which is really beautiful. It's just, when I see people who get nervous about mediumship, it really is if there was a break or things were not left in a state where they would have liked it to be. There's always anxiety and nervousness around forgiveness. That's a main one.
Yeah.
And just knowing that they're okay. I totally agree with
Yeah, forgiveness and not being able to say goodbye.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then for spirit on the other side, as a medium, traditional mediumship, especially in the spiritualist tradition, it's, spiritualists are really looking to verify that life, the spirit exists on the other side once it leaves the physical body.
Right.
My Leilani's definition of mediumship is a bit more expansive. And so that not only are we bringing through loved ones, we're bringing through interdimensional energies. I mean, every spirit embodies an energy and a frequency and a vibration. And so what's happening is, yes, we can bring through Auntie Jane, but we can also bring through Raphael, or some of the spirit guides that are just nebulas, or light forms, or sound. I mean, it's really an amazing
So you get the archangels to come through and
everything in between, and it really is aligned.
That's got to be awesome.
It is. It's. I always wanted to be a translator. Like seriously, I don't really know if you know this about me.
I have no idea.
Oh my God! So I went to Hawaii to continue studying Chinese. Took Japanese. Already spoke Spanish, and so my goal in life was to be a translator.
That's funny.
But sis, we did not know we were doing the interdimensional translating business. It was so much fun. I just didn't know.
Cool. Yeah.
And just so, It's really fun. And yes, you really have to have alignment within yourself
Mm-hmm.
and be committed to who you call God or the universe or the great big toe. All my clients who see me know that if you believe in the great chocolate sprinkles and you don't hurt yourself or anybody else, I all the way get down with that. That is fine. That's your right.
Right.
That's your sovereignty over
Absolutely.
yourself. And so sometimes, depending on who is in front of me, you do have different guides come through, and I'm going to get a bit controversial. I've even seen, especially with my son and a few other clients, former aspects of themselves come through
Really?
to shed light.
Okay.
Yes. So that now you're dipping into maybe the Akashic record space, but to me, and I hope I don't upset anybody, but that's all the way my business. It's all the same. It's all you're in the void
Exactly.
of creation,
Mm-hmm.
and everything is there.
Right, everything's fair game.
Absolutely.
As long as it's of the light, because you're
Exactly.
making sure it's of the
And
light.
I would like to say one more thing,
Sure.
if that's all right. And this is
Absolutely.
extremely important. I know for many religious traditions that if one has taken their own life, that soul, that spirit cannot cross over, and that's not been my experience. So I just want to get that out of the way, okay? The way I have been blessed to see it, and it is only my way of seeing it, I honor everybody's way of seeing it, is that there is a moment once, the physical says this is death, that there's still this overwhelming abundance of light and love. To me, it looks like arms being outstretched. So if you picture a sun and the rays of the sun, the rays are the arms, and they're welcoming you into love.
Okay.
So that person still has the ability to accept grace.
Okay.
And love, and really that's what it is. Just accept the love that's here for you and come on and get to the roller disco party, like we're gonna have fun. So there's only one time that I've ever seen when someone did it, and that's because they didn't think they were worthy of receiving love. And I mean, I've read for a lot of people who've lost someone to suicide.
Right.
So I just want to leave that out there. That's a destigmatization.
Yeah, and that's great, because that, unfortunately, we're going through a lot of that after the last few years of all the heavy
Absolutely.
energy.
Absolutely.
And, the way I look at it, and this is my opinion, but
And that's your business.
my business, is that if we do decide to take our life in this time, then it just tells me that we got to come back and do it again.
Amen.
So whatever
Amen.
lessons that we didn't learn in this incarnation, it's you got to do it all
You
over
just
again.
gotta-
And I don't want to do this all over again.
Listen, the soul is eternal.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if we really want to get down with it, that was my first heartbreak.
Okay.
Let's get real about it, because this world, especially, to do this type of work, you are a sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And to really do it to some of the degrees that we are doing it, you are hypersensitive.
Right.
So you're really putting yourself out there and experiencing all these the suffering and the joys of the entire human experience.
Right.
And often we are the ones going through it, are we not? Like,
Absolutely.
oh, yep, me too. I've been going through that mess. And so that you get to this point where it's like, oh my gosh, life can be suffering, and this is hard. I can't wait till I can just rest. Child, the soul is eternal. You will come back. So I made a pinky promise. Can I just sit out the next couple of millennia and I'll come back, but I just need a little break. But energy is neither created nor destroyed. So
Right.
it's just transmuted. So hopefully that will give people a lot of peace about the way they are living.
Right.
That you don't have to accumulate so much, work so hard, or suffer, or worry so much about accumulating things and experiences, because really, if you don't catch it this time, you'll get it on the re-up.
On the flip side.
Okay, amen. And really, it's about moving through life in integrity with yourself first,
Right.
in balance, and then in integrity and balance with others. And it just can be hard to do that walk. So when I found out I had to come back, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I thought I got to heaven with a bus transfer and I can just lay out and do what I need to do. And no, the soul's eternal. And that's okay.
So, thank you for that. I think that's really important for people to hear, like I said, especially now. So the other thing that is swirling through my head right now is what about the so the first time I put these videos out there, I got a little bit of pushback from some people that are religious that said,
"Come on, religious folks, come on, y'all, continue, sis, please." And I love it because this is an opportunity.
Yes. So I know it's a trigger moment for you.
That's a good one.
So it's just the way I look at religion is that it's a form of control. Now I didn't have a whole. I've had a lot of experience with different religions in my background. Like one of my stepfathers was Jewish, one was Catholic, and and so I never
you really had a fun time in your place.
But my mother was always like, "This is your choice. This is not my choice. This is your choice."
Amen.
But what I found is that a lot of the religions have not been very welcoming to what I do, and what I do, I just feel like it's spirituality. It's here to help people.
That's right.
So you have a much more background in religious studies.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Yeah.
It's so funny because my dad, my parents were raised Catholics and had a very, very traumatic experience. They're born in the 30s, came through Jim Crow. They lived in New York, and Catholic school was the best education that you could get for an African American back then.
Okay.
And so, but as children, they're naturally inquisitive, and they ask several questions about the Bible, which, you got to sort that out. But they got beat for it. And so that set up a really broken dynamic within my father's soul, because as a child, you're like, well, I'm told God is this, but I'm getting beaten for asking about a deeper understanding of the Lord.
Right.
There's something wrong there. And why won't God save me from that? Like, why doesn't God come down and break this hypocrisy instead of... And so what I would say is my parents, much like your mom, Dad was done with traditional religion and had a broken heart with God. He calls himself an atheist. My mom said you always have a guardian angel, always, and there's always a great spirit that is guiding you and walking with you, and that spark sits inside of you as well.
Right.
And so it humanizes, it already establishes a connection with me and the Creator. Now, much like you, Buddhism, Kundalini, like you name it, I've studied it, right? And what I had a broken heart, and I'm working that out with organized religion. I still honor all of the traditions because my foundational principle is you cannot put limits on the limitless power of spirit. That is ridiculous. Like, are you joking? And that I like to believe, and I do believe, that each of these people, just like you and I, were having these phenomenal experiences while we are journeying to other dimensions, or even having these deep conversations and fellowship with spirit,
Right.
and experiencing the glory of spirit when you're in that beautiful place,
Right.
which is just, you don't want for anything. It's just complete balance and fullness. And then you can imagine people like us are trying to put words in a process around capturing this magnificence. In Native American cultures, they call God, or what we call God, the great mystery. And that it is. To me, that is the most accurate description.
Absolutely.
Is the great mystery.
Because there's nothing tangible.
There's nothing tangible. So I can understand that they were trying to document a repeatable process. Yes, I'm leaning into my former project manager hat, right? But you understand a repeatable process to see if you can follow this and be mindful of that. Mm-hmm. Then you are open and aware to having an experience of the divine. However, as humans do, humans gonna be humans, amen. and that it gets misappropriated and
Right.
misappropriated. And truly, if you are able, I would invite anyone to go back and revisit each of these texts. You should be wrestling with whatever your text is, because that's, I honor it's a divine inspiration. However, it's a divine inspiration coming through a person who has lived a certain way in a certain time with a certain upbringing.
Right.
So I always tell my clients, who am I to say what your experience of the divine is, as long as you're not harming anyone, yourself or others? They're working with you.
Right.
That's yours. That's your precious journey. And thank you. So when I talk to you and we chop it up, I'm like, ooh, girl, I didn't even think about that. Thank you. I'm just incorporating and integrating your experience. But as I'm integrating your experience, I'm also right-sizing it for my soul with those guiding principles. So
Right.
I honor, I try not to demonize it, but, and especially as an African American person, where it was better to be a baptized slave than a free heathen, there's a lot of reconciliation that has to go on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so
and everybody's experience is different.
There
Like you
you
said,
go.
you're seeing it through the
Come
lens
on.
of your experience.
Right. In this
So
day,
don't tell me what my experience is.
Facts.
Yeah.
Super facts. 100%. You don't have the right to do that
Right.
unless you're harming yourself or somebody else. That's out of bounds. We don't do that. It's out of bounds.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Girl, I love you.
I love you
Just
too.
get down with it, man.
Well, it's so interesting to me because, you know, there's so many people that think of
Yes.
God as a him and God as a, you know, in the robe and he's white and he's up in the heavens.
Girl with the long, straight blonde hair.
And the other thing is the fearful God, the one that's going to be judgmental.
Old Testament
that
God,
drives
yeah.
me nuts.
It does, it
Because
does, it
God
does.
is not about fear.
No, and rather fear is actually is not God.
It's
consciousness.
control.
It is control. And I honor that fear plays its role so that we don't jump off a building and say, I can fly or watch me. But we have to be in balance.
Right.
And we have to be in integrity. And I agree. I mean, I think in the Christian tradition, you know, walking the middle path. And so I want to go back to something. I'm gonna loop it back because you and I had a discussion about somebody making comments about tarot, which is a form of divination. And I was like, okay, now I'm not gonna lie, my horns came up. Okay, because what people often forget is that in the Bible, you all can find it, amen, the Magi read the stars. What do people who read stars do? Is that astrology? I'm just making sure.
Astrology.
Is that okay? That's how I understand it.
Right.
The 3 wise men were Magi.
Right.
Nobody would know where Jesus was born if the Magi wasn't like, this is when you got to get there, and this is how you got to get there.
Right.
And this is so miss me with that. There's another example of, and I'm gonna get this wrong, and I can almost see the scripture, but I think it's in 1 Samuel. But a prophet consults the witch and it's a mediumship experience to bring through a message from an elder prophet. And I am going to find it, and we are going to put it in your comments for this video because it's important that people understand that all of these tools and abilities come from many traditions, paganism, or even Egypt, and their pantheon of gods being archetypes all over the world.
Right.
So we just need to honor that no one has the right to corner the market. That is absurd. It is very egocentric. It's very ethnocentric. And it's not in the spirit of love.
Right.
Bam.
Absolutely.
Now, are you with it or aren't you? Are you about the love or aren't you?
And that's all that I'm about.
Amen.
Is spreading the love and the healing.
Right. So if you're not getting down with that, then we're going to, that's all right. Up to the left.
Yeah. To the right.
Good topic, girl.
Oh, yeah, I'm telling you that it's a little
That
bit of a
really
pet
messed
peeve for
me
me.
up.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and we could go on and on about it. Something else, and we talked about this before we started, and it's not part of the topic, but I feel like we need to hit on it a little bit, is some of the stuff that you and I are working on. I mean, we actually created this experience today because of we were talking a couple weeks ago, and we were talking for hours, and we're like, we need to tape this because we're coming up with some stuff that I know that other people are working through, and right now we're struggling with this whole, like, we love people, but
let me sip my water. Come on in the room.
but it's a love and a, I don't want to say hate because I am not about any kind of hate, but it's a challenge because it's I'm struggling here at how to say it, but
You got it, sis. It's a sorrow. It's a broken heart. You know, I mean, we talked about being hypersensitive and really being vulnerable. You can't get to these levels without having a vulnerability and openness of the soul and willingness to meet people where they're at in their grief, and we hold space. We do not do people's work. We do not fix you. You got to fix yourself. We point the way. We lean on spirit, because truly we don't know these people when we meet them.
Yeah, I always say healers don't heal people.
That's right.
We hold space for them. We guide them. But you have to do your own work.
You got to do your heavy
It's like
lifting.
whatever we've had to work through. Like one of mine was alcoholism. No one can make me quit drinking. I had to do it myself.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
It's just that in doing this work and seeing how humanity, humans in particular, because every other biological creature does not destroy their ecosystem. That's a topic for another day.
Right.
But seeing how humans unnecessarily sabotage and sabotage themselves in their healing, and we've all done it. Many times, decades too long doing it, and it's just hard when you're really trying to devote your life, or you are devoting your life to moving healing and transformation and integration, like forward, moving consciousness forward, moving our planet out of suffering and back into balance. And we're human too.
Right.
And you still see some of the I'm not gonna cuss blippity blippity blah going on, that it's like, that you shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
And the futility and the powerlessness and the frustration and exhaustion that we can feel, all of us, practitioners and clients, right?
Right.
The frustration we feel that why can't we as humans get it together and have more openness and understanding and grace. Honey, grace.
Yeah.
And listen. How about just listen?
Right. Well, you're going into the territory of the divide, because we talked about everybody has to pick a side right now, and this is about coming together.
Absolutely.
If we're going to have any hope of getting better and improving things for ourselves, our children, grandchildren, and generations to come, then we have to stop seeing everything just through our lenses.
Absolutely.
We have to look at things. Your experiences are way different than mine.
Absolutely.
And everybody's are, and there has to be an acceptance and an allowing.
Right. So let me tell you about grief.
Okay.
What we are experiencing in these streets now is grief. Grief, loss, sadness, powerlessness. There's 5 stages of grief, child. I can't name them, but we're so quick to try and put Humpty Dumpty back together again that we're not taking the necessary time to grieve what we have lost and what we are still going through, and work on acceptance of where we are. We're trying to white knuckle it through, which is like spirituality. There's some aspects of spirituality, like I'm waking up and love and light, and let me just do the hokey pokey and do this, and now I will wake up in the promised land. And so, if we can really use this time and space to be introspective, first with what we're going on, grieve what's happening. As that is unfolding, that's really the spiritual awakening.
But plus, and before we get into the next topic, but well, what are we really grieving? Because
Ooh,
are
get
we
into it,
are we
sis.
really that upset about what we lost before? Because I remember right before the pandemic, I was like, this something's not right, and we're not supposed to be living
Exactly.
this way.
Not
And
at
people,
all.
I mean, being able to order stuff and having everything at your at your beck and call, and all of this seemed really great, but it was feeling kind of funky to
And
me. It was
out
like
of balance.
it was feeling very like we were a bunch of spoiled children. And no offense to anybody, but that's how I felt personally.
Right.
I was like, well, is this real? And it's great. Technology's great. Everything's great. But it just felt like we needed to take a step back
We
and
has
really
to
look
be
at
in
what was
balance.
important. Yeah.
The impact, the cost of it.
Right.
The cost of this excess. And I love my funnel cake and treats just as much as the next person. I love my Amazon Prime, but I don't love my Amazon Prime so much that a driver cannot even stop to use the bathroom. And I do know people
Yes, ma'am.
personally that
Yes,
have had
ma'am.
to do that. That is out of order.
That's exactly what I'm talking
That's
about.
exactly right. And so, really understanding at a global level, this is what's happening, the impact of this way of thinking.
Right.
And yes, those who have to play a front line role in that system definitely know the impact of it.
Right.
Those that are farther removed from that front line work, well, life's copacetic. I'm not saying it's perfect because you have to make your own decisions.
Right.
But that frontline experience is very different. And so when
Absolutely.
you're talking about, me being raised as an African American female who is 54, boo boo, and I own every one of those years, I would tell you the system never worked.
Absolutely.
So, like, to me, it's like, this is Tuesday.
Right.
I mean, yes, it's an extreme Tuesday. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making light of anybody's suffering and those that have lost. We have all lost. But this sticker shock or shock trauma of people who are waking up and saying, oh my gosh, now we're forced in isolation to really see what's happening.
Right.
We can't look away anymore. Mm-hmm. That's the shock.
And I feel like that stop with COVID is what that
Absolutely.
I saw a lot of people starting to wake up, and
Absolutely.
and that leads me to my next topic is that what is spirituality versus what people think it is versus what it really is.
Absolutely.
And in your experience, what do you see as the difference? I've seen a lot of crazy.
I've seen I've said a few times, if looking at the tree and meditating with the tree gives you a deeper understanding of yourself and life, get down with it. Mm-hmm. Who am I to say that? To me, I look at spirituality as being, for me, jumping off points, religion if you want to. If that's how you came into it, fine. To me, spirituality really is about the connection of self with my spiritual self, my fleshy self with the spirit aspect of myself.
Right.
And what are the myriad of tools and education and practitioners that use, endless modalities to help heal and restore and integrate and align your whole self. Okay. That's whatever that is. There is a great consciousness, which you call it whatever you want to. I'm cool with that. That binds everything in the universe, and the practice of honoring that in your everyday life is what I call spirituality. That is how I define it. It's not something that I put on the shelf. It is from the moment I wake up, I'm thanking myself and all of the beautiful helper spirits for my divine alignment and peace, and thank you for cooperating with me to bring this beautiful vision of life forward so that I can do what I love and make some bread at it. But most importantly, have peace and balance within my soul.
Right.
So for me, spirituality is open-ended. I think we will continue to discover what it is. I'm dying to hear how you define it. I love it.
So for me, it was all about finding my purpose. So
Right
I was
on.
on, we both have a
Right
corporate
on.
background,
Oh,
and
God,
we were
yeah.
on that hamster wheel and kept sliding back down. I was like,
I love it. I'm going to the top.
yeah, so I'm going up, right? And I just, it happened very suddenly. I had and I've talked about this in previous videos, but I had some catalytic moments that happened for me, and I wasn't living my
Absolutely
purpose, and
That's
I wasn't
right.
I wasn't sovereign.
Yeah.
I was living for the wrong thing. I was
Amen.
living for money,
Oh,
and
girl.
I thought that's what made things. That made the
Facts.
world go round, and when I started to wake up, it was like, whoa, what am I here for?
Absolutely.
And I kind of all
I
of a
love
sudden
that.
figured out that it was here to help others.
love
I went
that.
through all that crap in my childhood, my past, my
Facts.
adulthood,
Facts.
in order to learn so I could help other people that had been through similar issues. And
I dig that, Lori.
yeah, I think everything we go through, if we can look at it as a learning experience and how to teach others to get through it,
Absolutely.
it's about that. So to me, it's about finding your purpose.
I love that. And I'm going to add that to my definition. I think that is beautiful. I mean, it's really the study of the spirit. It's the
Right.
study of the soul. It's
Why am
study
I
of
here?
your soul and all that goes through it.
Because there has to be more, right? To me, it was like there had to be more to life than getting up, going to work, coming
And
home.
dreading every minute of it.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny that you said that money, going to get the money, going to do this, making the world go round. The world going round was a hamster wheel, right? It's like, I got to do this, keep the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my family knows this, and I've been very transparent with anyone who feels like listening. I was written out of work in 2015 because I had a mental, breakdown and depression. I had to be written out of work for 2 to 3, I think it was 2 months, maybe 3 months.
Wow.
In 2015.
You're not the only one of my friends that has gone through that.
Absolutely, because it's it's like you get the whispers, it's time to stop this, and you're like, no, white knuckle, white knuckle, white knuckle, and it'll be better, and you do this con job on yourself,
Right.
and then finally it's like
The
that's
tower
it,
moment.
tower moment, death. It's the number, what is it? The fool and the magician, it's all coming into focus. But man, I'm so grateful that I took that time to be still. Like you talk about what healed me. I was able to be still, to listen to what my heart was trying to tell me, because it's like, I'm not getting past your car. I'm not getting past getting your son through college, and you're going to break down if you don't listen to what I'm saying. And
Right.
that's when I began to understand what being an empath was,
Yeah.
which saved my life. It saved my life. I thought I was insane.
Yeah.
And I'm
So did you not know you were an empath before that?
I didn't have a title.
Okay.
I knew I was getting messages. I knew what the part I wasn't getting was decoupling my energy from others.
Amen.
'Cause, I didn't know it worked quite in that way.
Yeah, I
And-
didn't realize I was picking up other people's energy.
Absolutely. I
either.
didn't know that. I was a human lint brush, and my husband was the one that brought it to my attention. Shout out to Wayne, because he's like, you're going out the door like love, peace, and hair grease, and then you want to come home, evil as 10 rattlesnakes, and you want to, throw down. And it's like, man, I'm like, you're right. I didn't know, I did not have clarity.
Right.
It was like that took over.
Yeah.
So when I slowed down and then reconnected with my understanding of Kundalini and the chakras and meditation and chanting, it was coming home to myself. And what I found in my spiritual awakening was that a lot of this already existed inside of me. So I would add that to the definition of spirituality, is that the need to really look inside,
Right.
and right size that, because your answers are truly inside of you. If you have the courage to face your fears and go toe to toe with the snot running down your face, and you're walking around the house and you're wiping your eyes, you can't stop crying, keep asking yourself, but why? But why? Why am I hurting this bad?
Right.
And again, that discovery of the spirit is spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
That really helped me come to terms with it. And the only other thing I want to say about waking up, I am deeply concerned, I'm sure you are, about some of the things we see on the gram.
Yes.
And on TikTok.
Absolutely.
And on Facebook. I am so grateful, very deeply grateful, that we are disseminating this information, because if you are my age or earlier, it's very taboo. I love seeing the kids coming up now. They're like, man, my vibes are off. I'm like, I am all the way with that. At least we can talk about it.
Right.
Now.
They're enlightened, but I'm seeing they're enlightened, but not necessarily awakened.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And it's a journey. I'm like, we're still waking up.
Absolutely.
And that needs to really be talked about, the path of awakening and healing, because healing ain't like this, because life ain't like this. So it's, exactly. So we came in on the fool's journey in kindergarten. We amassed a level of experiences, and then we're cruising. Oh, life changes. Now we got to learn a whole new set of skills. So if we can at least honor and accept that.
Right.
Because a lot of my clients, if I can just get to this, I'm like, sis, it's not a place. It's not a destination. It's
Right.
not.
No.
It can't be, because you're still evolving.
Yes.
So right sizing that aspect of it, that it is a journey and it will continue. Really, I want to say till you leave the planet, but that's when the remix starts and you get a whole new set of lessons, right? So just understanding that, because I think some of these lessons you have to go through some things to really get. I have not seen how you can reinforce some of these powerful lessons of letting go or acceptance or grief or forgiveness.
It's not a pill.
It's not a pill.
It's not a pill.
And just when you think you've got it, there's another layer to it.
Right. Right.
Like a flower opening.
Absolutely.
But be encouraged, be encouraged.
Absolutely. And there's a discerning too that I
Yes.
don't think that you have. I know I didn't have it when I was young, and it's like somebody says to try to do this and help advance my spiritual awakening. Well, I don't know if you're ready for that. And I know I wasn't ready for
Nope.
that when I was younger.
Nope.
Hell, I'm not ready for it.
I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not ready for door
So
number
you
2.
level it up. I'm like, oh, I don't know that I'm ready for that. But yeah, so yeah, dispelling some of the things that are going on out there. I mean, there's so many. It's how do we handle that?
That's a great
How do we deal
question.
with that as people that are I kind of look at us as paving the way, right?
Absolutely.
We're just kind of learning as we go.
Absolutely.
There's no manual for
No,
waking
there
up.
is no
And if there was,
manual.
I would have bought it a long time ago. I bought a lot of books right now, I'll tell you, but
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's really good. I mean, I like to look at us as change managers, which
Yes.
is what I used to do in my corporate life. But we're spiritual change managers, right?
Absolutely.
And change managers help move people forward from where they are to where they want to be. And each of us gets to choose where we want to be.
Right.
And so you and I are merely pointing the way to different modalities, different authors, different teachings. And I'm always encouraging my clients and students to please go read a million things, please. Like my brother and my sister, both of them are voracious readers. They're philosophers at heart. And they are always synthesizing all of the teachings from different people into what works and resonates.
Absolutely.
What resonates with them. And that's the other thing, is authenticity. Like just because everybody says, this is the way it has to be, you know, okay, I honor that most people feel that way, but honey, there ain't nobody built like this. So I've got to find my way. I have to honor my path. And sometimes it just comes through life experiences. So I'm encouraged by the young people, honey. I love that energy.
I am too. It
I
makes
hope
me
they wake it up.
so happy because I see the people that are, you know, in places where I get food and different things. And I'll be wearing my bracelets, and they're like, "Oh, what is that?" And
Yeah,
"Oh, what?
you're right.
How do you use that? And what do you do?" And it's like,
love
oh,
it.
because we come from generations
Yes.
that were not as they weren't as open to change, and it
Correct.
wasn't their fault, but
Right.
it was, you know, you go through school, you get to be a certain age, you get a job, you stay in it for 30 years, you retire, you
That
die.
was our paradigm.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And that has changed. Now
Yes.
everything is about change, and that's why I feel
Absolutely.
like people our age and older
Absolutely.
struggle with change at times. Now I decided that I was gonna kind of be open to it, but I've always been
Exactly. I know,
I'm gonna do
right?
it my way.
Yeah, always.
Mom didn't always like
Always.
that, but
No, I think that's so, I just love that. And it's just hard sometimes the hardest thing about the journey that I've seen in myself and in others is really believing that it is possible. Believing and knowing that you're free. That it really is possible, because it seems there are moments in our awakening where you're living in a way that's counterculture, against what societal norms.
Counter-programming.
Absolutely, which I all 100% agree. It's programming. And you have to, again, you have to get that alignment within yourself to say, you know what, I tried it that way, and this is what it cost me, and I'm with anything but that. I'm open to the possibility of, and I think knowing that and believing it. And I'm gonna mess up this Harriet Tubman quote, which means I really need to get into it, but she says something to the effect of, I could have freed 100 more, but they didn't know that they could have been free.
yeah.
And that's what I feel like the energies that we're working with right now.
Yeah, because a lot of people that I would talk to say, well, I don't have a choice.
And it's like, oh my God, you have every bit of the choice.
You are the
choice,
yes,
bro.
yes.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's hard. And as much as we work with people, if there was one thing I could tell my clients or anybody who is seeking, you know, different alternative modalities of this world of healing, is that please, you must know and believe that you can and that you're worth it.
Right.
And that as things get hard, they're meant to get hard, but it's worth it. You're worth it. Your joy is worth it. Your fulfillment is worth it. Your purpose is worth it. Like,
Right.
you're so much more than what you've allowed yourself to think you are.
Absolutely.
And they just think, oh, well, that's you. You have some special gene. I used to think that too,
Yeah.
until you just start walking it,
Yeah.
you know, but you got to do that heavy lifting.
So I totally agree. So what are some tools that we can share with everyone about? What did you go through? And I could share some with me, but I'll let you start.
Oh, you're so sweet. Oh my God, I'm running my doggone mouth. You know, for me, being an air sign through and through, ooh-wee. My air signs, I love y'all. Hang in there. Don't give up. Please don't give up. Meditation. Yeah, we do. Analysis paralysis, confidence in your decisions, this mercurial aspect of ourselves back and forth like a leaf in the wind, right? For me, meditation and grounding are essential. It saved my life. Because I needed to really understand the patterns of my mind. I needed to understand my soul. I needed to listen to my heart. And I know everybody cringes when you say meditation, but it can really be painting. Anything that creates a space of stillness where your mind is not doing its swirl, that's fine, but you have to be cool with being with yourself. So many people are afraid to be alone, right? So for me, that was the gateway. For me, having a ritual, because I'm so free in the wind, I had to have an established practice. And creating that time for me is the most important thing, and not feeling guilty about it.
Right. I love when I talk to clients about meditation. They're like, I can't.
It's
I'm like, well, you know what? I couldn't either when I
That's
first
right.
started.
That's
I
right.
mean, because I had no practice.
Absolutely.
So it was like, I try to explain this to people that when you start a job, you're not great, right? You don't know what the heck you're doing.
Facts.
But the more you do it, the more you show up, the better you get.
Absolutely.
And so it's 5 minutes in the morning. It's 5 minutes
That's
in the,
right.
whatever is good for you. And then you just work up to it. And for me, you know, a lot of people think of this as meditation.
No.
And that's not the only form.
No,
That
it's
is a
not.
form of meditation.
Absolutely.
But I started creating jewelry. I started working with gemstones. And when I had to create a pattern, I couldn't think about anything but what was going into that pattern.
Right.
Monkey mind here was not able to climb the monkey bars, right? So it was finding things. It was my paddle boarding. It was getting, you know, it was grounding.
Hiking. Oh God, hiking is mine.
But then my mind, because I'm Libra rising, so I got some air up in here
God,
too.
girl.
So, but it was like, I doubted myself. You know, I was like, well, is grounding really working for me? I don't know. Is that just hocus pocus? I mean, I'm a skeptical optimist.
Right.
As much as I believe in everything we're talking about, I still have doubts because of my 54 years of programming. 'Cause I'm your age.
Absolutely.
And so it's like, is this really doing it? But I notice when I don't do it, I'm
There's the
feeling
result.
different right there.
Exact. And it's really about your alignment, your internal alignment.
Absolutely. Well, it feels good for me.
That's right.
Not everybody else.
And it doesn't have to. That's the only thing I would say. I honor these traditions, and I honor that we're disseminating information, but please put the intent behind it. You have to have the intent behind it, and you have to be committed to your healing.
Right.
Right? So if that doesn't work, you just don't throw your hands up and say, oh, I'm done. See, I knew it wouldn't work.
Right.
I told Lori that meditation thing was a mess.
Right.
No, it's like, okay, that particular thing wasn't for you, but I'm so in love with myself, baby.
Right.
I want to get all my buttery goodness.
Yeah.
So I'm committed to trying whatever it is because I've already done that.
Right.
Right? So
And when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, that's an old cliche, that's an old saying. And that's where I was. I was like, I can't feel like this anymore. I got to have another kind of feeling. And that's what, you know, when I felt like it wasn't working, I'm like, okay, well, is it not working or am I not working on it?
And I love that because it happens. It's cyclical, isn't it? Because I think that's another thing. We as practitioners, we still are on our journey. And we are also still sorting out different levels of reality and ways of being,
Right.
and trying to integrate and align within ourselves so that we can have peace in our soul. So,
Right.
you know, I'm always telling my clients, man, I'm not asking you to do anything that I haven't done or am still doing myself. And I'm so grateful that you trust me enough to help you with your part of the journey. Semicolon.
Right.
Semicolon. You still got to do your stuff. I
Right.
can't do it for you.
Yeah.
I really can't. But I can't imagine my life without this.
And I love it when people are like, well, you know, you're good because you've gone through your awakening and everything's good. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, but it doesn't stop. It's like, it doesn't stop till we transition, till we exit this planet.
Absolutely.
And it's always constant work. And I find that every time I get through a certain healing, that there's another little
Come on, sis.
monster
Come
poking
on.
its head around like, okay, pick me because I'm next and you need to work through whatever that was.
That's so true, but that's the cycle and circle of life because you've committed to your healing and you've committed to the evolution of your soul. So in order to be committed to the evolution of your soul, you're going to literally be fast-tracked through this part of your journey from
Right.
here on out, because you're seeking the truth. You're
Right.
seeking your truth. And so, honey, the universe conspires, and all the helper spirits conspire to bring those situations forward, which is why I tell people, like, oh, I thought I had this figured out. Yeah, you do. Guess what? Now there's another level of it. And even though you're going through something traumatizing, which it does happen, I want you to move through it with a different perspective, which is thank you for the lesson.
Right.
And thank you for the blessing, because I know the blessing is on the other side of it. Meaning, I know I'm going to learn something about this. Therefore, next time this comes up, I'm going to move in a different way.
Right.
Right? Or thank you for the harvest that comes through because of so much seed work that I've done. Oh, thank you for that blessing. You just have to move through it and feel your way through it. And that's how your intuition and trust and respect and love of yourself is developed.
Right.
It can't be developed when we're just like, you know, like trick or treating
Yes.
and throwing, you know, candy corns everywhere and having fun. It has to be, you can't have, what is it? Now Christians say this, and it is a fun saying. You can't have the testimony without the test. Amen. And that does apply everywhere. That
Right.
is very true. So yeah, that's what I would say. Just be committed to your healing and committed to your journey, and know that it's not going to be pretty. And sometimes you're flying on a nimbus cloud,
Right.
And other times you're like hiding under your bed.
Right. And also it's like, don't be afraid to reach out. That is the thing
Yeah.
that, you know, that's why we're here. And we're
Yeah.
finding, you know, there's a lot of practitioners out there, but sometimes they're not always easy for people to
Right.
find, right? So
Absolutely.
what I advocate for, and I do it too. I still look for teachers. I still
Oh,
look
absolutely.
for people to help me. You know, of course
100%.
I call you, and I call people that my tribe that I know. But it's finding, there's a lot of people out
Absolutely.
here that have walked this journey.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's important to find, you know, like in anything, you have authentic people and you have
Right,
people that are
sis.
in it
Yep.
for, unfortunately, just to make a buck.
Yeah.
But what I talk to people about is really feeling into it, really going with
Right.
your gut, your
Right.
intuition. And if it feels good, then it is. And we're here to help. We're here to pull
pull
you
you
through it.
through.
And when we're pulling other people through it, we're pulling ourselves
Come
through
on
it.
in the room.
We're
Come
pulling ourselves
on
through it.
in the room.
Because how many times do you meet with clients that there's a mirror standing
Always.
sitting across from
Oh,
you?
my
It's
gosh.
like, oh crap, I thought I worked through that lesson.
Especially in mediumship, I already know that the people that are on my calendar, they're going to reflect something that I am working out.
Absolutely.
It's always the way. I've never seen it. I mean, that's always the way it has worked out for me.
Right.
Because you're like, I'm seeing some repeating trends and themes here, and oops, I better pay attention to that because that hit me in the right spot. And I always tease my spirit guides when they're, because they'll send a message through that I have to say to somebody, and I'm like, y'all are cheating because I know you said it for me, but you want me to say it for them.
So, how do you pick a practitioner? That is the next question.
The number one question, and I'm so glad that you took me back through time about how I found mine. But what I thought would be cool is that I'm gonna take the perspective of what I hear from my clients.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna ask you a bunch of questions, and you're gonna give me advice. This is real time healing, y'all.
No. Okay.
So
we
I
do a little role play.
A little role play, and
Everybody
I'm
loves that.
sure we'll see each other in there. So I can remember just ending up in the parking lot and not knowing how I got there. Like
Okay.
I had driven to a parking lot and not knowing how I got there, and knew that something needed to change. And I was like, where do I go? So I started by Googling metaphysical bookstores, but then what do I do after that? What would you recommend?
So it's funny that you say that because I actually did the same thing. I had a local place. I had a couple local, but I did start Googling. And I started
Right.
going to all the ones in my town. And we live in the greater Charlotte area. So I started visiting. And I was talking to the people.
Yeah.
I have a very good intuition, but I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
Yeah, because how did you? I was so wrecked at the time.
So I found classes. So that was where I started. So I started going to these places. I'm buying crystals. I don't know what the heck I'm buying, but they're pretty and they're flashy. And but I started finding classes, and so I started going to these classes. And one of the first classes I found, and this took me a while. That was the most challenging part was finding what I was looking for. Is found a class about psychic development, and it was funny because I kind of felt like a fraud. I was like, well, I'm not a psychic, but I'm something's going on with me, and I want to start talking to people. Well, I got to this class, and it was a lot of people just like me, and there was a teacher, and she was kind of guiding us with there was a different topic every week, and it wasn't like I'm going to teach you how to read people's minds. It was teaching about I don't know, I can't even remember the topics, but we would pull cards for each other. We would just see what we felt, and I was scared to death. I've been reading tarot for 30 years, and I'm like, oh, I can't read for you. You're a stranger. Are you kidding me? But it was that, and that's how I met my tribe, and that's how, and then I found out about this class from them over here, and I found out a class, and then I met practitioners through these people, and then some of these people actually became practitioners, as did I throughout this class. So that is my journey.
Yeah, how do you know? I'm envisioning some of my clients are like, yeah, I get it, but how did you know? There's so many paths to choose. Is there some, like you knew to go to tarot?
Right.
I didn't touch my tarot deck that I bought probably for 2 years. I was leaning into mediumship without really understanding, knowing what I was doing. And Reiki, right? Reiki is a real passion of mine. But how do I know there's so many things out there?
Well, that was the thing, is that I've done tarot for years, but I didn't realize that my passion was astrology until a few years down.
Right.
I mean, I took Reiki classes. I became a Reiki practitioner. I mean, when you first awaken, and I've heard this from a lot of people, is you're voracious. It's like, I want to learn everything. Give me one of these. Give me one of these. Give me one of these. And I'm like, what do I do with all these? But really, it really hasn't been until the last year that I know now that astrology is what I want to focus on. I'm doing tarot readings, but really what this is about teaching people spirituality, helping them through the journey. But it is trial and error. It is picking things up. It is learning. It's, some people douse. Some people, there's so many things out there. But with me, I also realized that it was about the healing journey first.
Come on now.
So it was, I could do all these things, all these, stuff with tarot and astrology, but it kept coming back to doing my shadow work, and it kept coming back to finding people that I trusted to help me through this journey.
Resonated with. I mean, I think that's the thing. There's so many different practitioners and teachers that work in so many different ways, which is such a blessing. My gosh, we don't want to have a number 3 Reiki session, and you get a Happy Meal with it, right? It needs to be an authentic expression of that practitioner, because that's when they're working in their greatest power, is doing it in their way. And what I thought was so cool about what you said in picking your person, it was like, or picking your path, was your passion. With the intent. I mean, you set the intention, like, I got to start feeling better. And honoring what resonates with you. So those are great compasses.
So I was reading mythology and angel books and I mean, all kinds of things. I mean, I was learning about organized religion because I was like, okay, there's an issue here. I want to know more about what is in my way too. So it was, there was no organization it would have driven you nuts, because there was no structure behind what I was doing.
Well, but that was my unfolding. Is releasing the structure, but needing enough so that I wasn't chasing my tail
Right.
and finding that alignment and balance within myself. And that to me is the most important thing, is like, yeah, be open to the possibility. If you don't have faith, that's fine. If you can't believe, I honor that, because it's hard believing right now.
It is.
But can you be open to the possibility?
Mm-hmm.
And your guides will work with that. As long as you're open to the possibility, leave it open a crack, they will work with you. And so I tell my clients, set the intention that I believe and that I want to be free. And they'll bring that through. You can pray for the house, you can pray for the cars, you can pray for the perfect teacher, and that is all honorable. But if you're open to the possibility, then all of these additional abundant blessings and opportunities can come through.
Right.
And so it's really, to me, it's the initial test, the ultimate test of faith, is saying, yes, I will.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I will go forward.
The other thing I did is, it's funny. I'm your age, 54, and I wasn't really a YouTuber until my spiritual awakening, and so I started YouTubing. So I started finding who resonated, and I found Soulful Revolution. Love that channel. She's a tarot reader, but she taught me so much about spirituality. It's not funny.
Yeah.
I found Rich Lopp, and he's a law of attraction specialist, and so I found all these people, and there was little nuggets within all of it.
Right.
And then once I followed them, a few of them would offer classes. They weren't expensive classes, so you don't have to break the bank to do this.
No.
And I will give you a tip that if something is really expensive, I would be wary of it, because I feel like there are people that do prey on people's awakening, and so I like walk into the shallow end first.
Yes.
Take an inexpensive class, and learn what you like, and go from there. And again, there's a lot of great readers and healers out there.
There's somebody
online.
for everybody.
There is.
That is true.
So, because there's some people that still aren't comfortable going out and being in the public, and I understand that, and I honor that. People can do whatever is in their comfort zone.
Absolutely.
But you're not alone, and that's why that's why I created this channel.
Absolutely.
To try to help people on their path.
I also, one thing I do, and I'm not sure, I know a few other practitioners do it, is offer a free consultation, like 30 minutes, just because, think about it, if you especially mediumship, people have like possession and all sorts of stuff going on. So, all these fears of it. And so I offer the free consultation so that you can understand how I work, but more importantly, how I can support you. And it gives you that opportunity to ask all of the itty bitty questions that you always wanted to ask.
Right.
And that, I think, you should be able to ask a practitioner before you actually have your session, your reading, to say, can you just tell me how you work and how this works? Because not everybody knows, so that's what I do. So
I like that.
Yeah, just so that when we do get to the session, then all of your time is all about you.
Right.
And
I have done a lot of those. I've done myself personally, when I've gone out and done reading events, I would do free reading events. I would do different things to get myself out there to help people.
Right.
And then we do these fairs where we do reduced price for a few.
Excellent.
Like 15 minutes for a reduced price. So there are things out there that people can find. It's just a matter of digging. And that is something that I would love to see that I haven't seen, is something that organizes all of this information in an app or a singular place.
Absolutely.
I've thought about creating it myself in my spare time.
Whenever that is.
Right, exactly. So, but in the meantime, it's Google, it's going out and looking and finding and really using your intuition. Does this feel right?
Absolutely.
Then let's try it. And again, I love what you said about your consultations. If you can find practitioners out there, and when you do, because they're out there, and I do it, Leilani does it, that are willing to say, hey,
Yeah.
you know, no charge. Let's see where you need to start.
Yeah.
Those to me are authentic.
Well, yeah, because we could be doing a lot of things, but we love what we do, and we genuinely love. Like for me, oh man, I love seeing people release blocks. You know, it's such a joyful. It's almost like a death and a birth at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's just to be able to hold space for someone while they do that and say, you got this, man, you got this, just keep breathing and believing you got this.
Right.
That's what this jam is about, because ultimately everyone in your orbit is going to be blessed by the healing you're doing on yourself. And that's how we transform society.
Absolutely. Yeah, because once I heal, then I'm better, and then I react differently to this person or to you. And then that in turn, you see that, oh, well, if she's getting better, I should get better. And I will tell you, the greatest joy that I find when I deal with clients is they come in one way and they leave another. They come in like a droopy dog, and they walk out like, thank you, and they just feel a little lighter.
They do.
And that is, I mean, forget the money. That's where that's the money for me, because
that's right. You'll be blessed. You'll be blessed either way. You
and
are
I
being
want
blessed.
us to feel better. I want the collective conscious to feel better.
Absolutely.
And we will, once we can figure out what's going on in here that we need to heal.
Transformation from the inside out. And I also want to encourage people to pick up a deck. Pick up a deck. Learn about this stuff. Whether it's an oracle deck is a great way to start.
An oracle
deck. Is it time to pick a card? Let's pick a card. I love it. Pick a card.
As you mentioned oracle decks.
That's right.
No, keep going and we'll pick one in a minute.
Yeah, I just would, because it's such a great way to get in touch with yourself.
Yeah.
It really is. This is the journey of the soul. It is. Spirituality can be fun. Awakening can be fun. Yes, it can be horrific, but it can also be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Because you're seeing the world and you're seeing yourself with completely new eyes and completely new skills to navigate life.
Right.
And if you really are getting into the jam, you get to meet your spirit guides, and then you all can co-create what kind of jam you want to have on earth. That's fun.
And they're with us, and you're sitting next to my main spirit guide over there. Yeah, he sits with me. That's my Chief Two Moons.
I love it. I love it.
So finding your spirit guides, that's one of the things that people can teach you.
Absolutely.
So let's see.
What we got today, girl?
Sensuality.
Oh.
A 38 card. Must be picking up on you, my girl.
Oh.
Feminine wisdom and passion.
Feminine wisdom, absolutely. That is exactly what I'm about now. Because you can't serve two gods. When I got into this, I was like, how am I going to make money doing what I love? And it was like, okay, the purpose and serving my humanity was 1A, and making money was 1B. Okay, come on now.
Right.
It's either one or the other. And when I really leaned into serving humanity and healing myself, or while healing myself, everything else fell into place.
Right.
It's now, for me, it's about energy management. And that sensuality, the feminine wisdom, it really is reconnecting with all of my buttery good stuff. Because I'm deconstructing, or have deconstructed, all of the way I should, like, oh, maybe lighter skin, or my hair looks away, or like, that's all BS.
Right.
All BS. So just dipping back into my buttery goodness.
And understanding that feminine is not about female and male.
Right.
It is feminine energy and masculine energy. And feminine energy is more about allowing and flow and receptivity and intuition and pulling out of that. We are pulling out of the masculine energy where it's the action, getting it done. There's nothing wrong with masculine energy, but when it's out of balance. So this to me is really, it reminds me to find that balance of the feminine, because I'm a very masculine person. I'm a girl, obviously, but I have a very, I'm an Aries sun, and I'm about getting things done. I'm about action. Let's go. What are you waiting for? I want when I want when I want it.
That's right.
And so I've really had to embrace my feminine side and allowing and letting things happen.
Unfold.
It was not my cup of tea for the
Oh, and
longest
it's
time.
a former prey control freak. It surely wasn't mine. I was like, this is some BS. But anyway, but we're free.
Yeah.
We're free. And I really just want to encourage everyone to take the leap of faith. Bet on yourself. Bet on yourself. Please, please bet on yourself. You are worth being happy. You're here for a reason. And just take the precious time you need to find out why, and honor the truth of your soul and of your heart. I'm telling you, as you do that, it'll be hard, but man, you will discover so many magical things about yourself. You won't ever want to go back. You really won't.
And this has been fun. I mean, we talk all the time, and it's been great. Just, I love what we do. I love helping people. And I can remember when I first started waking up, I kept telling my mom, I'm like, I have to help people. I have to help people. I have to help. She's like, honey, you got to help yourself first.
Look, facts, mama.
And I'm like, but no, you don't understand. And now I understand what I didn't understand.
She was spitting the truth.
But this has been so much fun.
What a blessing.
And
Thank
just a
you.
couple things. So, down in the description box, we'll have the way that people can get in touch with you, because you're available online for mediumship and spiritual awakening. So I don't know if we want to say it.
Sure. It's and it'll be in the comments. LeilaniBush.com. It's that simple. You'll find me.
The joyful medium.
The joyful medium. I do. Yes, my idea of heaven is a roller disco party with Jesus and Parliament Funkadelic, and lots of funnel cake and treats and lots of fabulous music. So if you want to get down with a reading that type of way, we get serious, but we keep it 100% real.
Absolutely.
Judgment-free zone, which is what I love about you, because we have to practice radical honesty with ourselves first. And if we're not, then we're just white knuckling it, and it'll come back and bite us in the bum. So thank you for having me on here and chopping it up. I love it.
It's so much fun,
girl.
Yep.
And I will come back anytime you want me to. What? Thank you, girl.
Oh, blessings and love and light.
Peace and blessings. Aloha.
Bye. Wow, that was fun. If this video or anything in it resonated with you, please hit like, subscribe, and share so you can be a part of all this yummy goodness.